It's the news.
It is indeed, and we start with this. As we know, Formula One has always been the most glamorous sport in the world, hasn't it, yeah? But not anymore, not from next year. There's 4 new teams joining in, OK? One of them, Manor Grand Prix, is based in Sheffield. How glamorous is that? Oh, yeah.
Strictly speaking, it's actually between Sheffield and Rotherham.
Well, if we're going to be specific and pedantic, it's between Sheffield, Rotherham and Worksop in a place called Dinnington, which I know well. And it's exactly like Monte Carlo, apart from in every single detail.
You take the shine off it a bit, innit? I can't wait to see their new car.
Oh.
Don't know why I bother with all that carbon fibre. I made mine out of steel.
Yeah. Stainless steel. I'll tell you what, if that Fernando Alonso twats into our car, his Ferrari will be buggered. I'll tell you that for no.
Funny, my dad worked in pit, and now I've got a job in pit.
They're replacing Toyota, and they've signed Emo Glock, who presumably is currently learning why it's important to punch anyone who looks at him funny. Is anyone from Sheffield? Are you? Whereabouts? You're from Sheffield? This is honestly, because I'm just thinking, they're using Cosworth engines, or I should say Sheffield, Cosworth.
Cosy.
No, Cosworth. You've got to like have a stroke halfway through the word. Cosworth.
So your face sort of falls. Cosy. Your face
No,
falls
yeah,
off.
just go on. Can we just practice? Can we just, you're from Sheffield, just practice it, just show us.
How'd you say it?
Cosworth.
There you are. I think it's fair to say that that team is probably now Top Gear's absolute favourite F1 team. I want them to win everything, so on the podium they're going to have a big brass band at the end.
Oh, abide with me. No, that's a national anthem. Well, I mean, abide with me on a brass band, be lovely.
Every year, the BBC gives us a big lump of money and tells us to go away and make 14 programmes. So what we do is we divide that lump of money by 14, and then that gives us the budget for every show.
It's very simple, but unfortunately, I don't know how this happened. We've made a complete holics of it, which meant that when we got to make this show, we had, and I'm not joking, I really am not making this up, almost no money at all.
No. And you didn't actually help with your Lexus film, to be honest.
Well, why?
Well, it had a spaceship in it.
No, but it wasn't actually there when I filmed it, was it? It was not a real...
Well, so it was added?
Yeah.
And that's cheaper than just using a real spaceship? I don't think it is. That stuff costs a bloody fortune.
All right, well, we know that now.
Listen,
the bills come in. I'm
listen,
sorry,
okay?
I got carried away.
Listen, stop bickering, you two. We now have to do the news, and that's impossible because it isn't the week you think it is.
No, it's actually December the 9th.
Yes.
We're in history.
It really is. You see, we had the studio booked for today, and we've had to use it even though we know you're in 2010.
This is the past.
This fly flying around here has actually died by the time you watch it.
The real problem is obviously that between now and when you're watching this, really anything could have happened. Somebody could have invented a car that, I don't know, runs on jelly. We might have declared war with France. So instead of the news, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look ahead to some cars that are coming out this year.
This year.
Yeah.
This year. That's what we're going to do. Yes. But we must move on.
We must. McLaren have announced a new supercar. Here it is. It's called the MP412C.
That'll sound good with adenoids.
Yeah, really.
Want to come for a ride in my MP4-12C?
No, I don't. It sounds like a telephone. However, interesting thing about this car particularly is the previous McLaren supercars, the F1 and the Merc SLR, were very, very expensive. This, £170,000.
Not cheap.
Oh, that's all right.
As I said that, I reckon
No, I know what
it's
you
not-
mean. It's
not
cheaper
cheap.
than...
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of same...
half the price of the SLR.
And this is the first time they put their own engine into it, 3.8-litre twin-turbo V8. So there's a lot of exciting things about it.
No, I hope that works for McLaren because they've had a rotten week. You know, all their vehicles have been recalled because they've been amputating people's limbs.
It's not the... No, yeah. So, yeah, it's not the vehicles, mate. It's the prams, the pushchairs, McLaren buggies.
Oh, God, I thought Rowan Atkinson had his arm cut off by his car.
No,
it's McLaren prams.
Yes, the buggies, the pushchairs.
Oh, God.
But interesting thing about this story is it's come about because of 12 cases in the States of children having their fingers amputated by them. And so as a result, they've recalled all the pushchairs. But the pushchairs are the same all over the world, and it's only in the States that they're recalling them. Not over here, for instance. They're...
No, there's a very good reason for that, though. I think it's because British parents are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Intelligent.
Yes. Yeah. Because how could you... I can't shut this buggy down. There's these little pink things in the road.
I got the kid screaming his head off. Shut up, Junior. That's got it.
Stop yelling. There you go.
Oh, yes. Every week, the Daily Mirror runs a story saying that we've done something unspeakable. You know, we've stolen all the army's helicopters, or we've accidentally clubbed an old lady to death with a baby seal. This week, okay, the story they chose to run with was this. Okay, here it is. Big story saying that homosexuals are banned from the Top Gear studio audience. Now, seriously, honestly, I've never read such rubbish in my life, ever.
Now, it is true that we are an even split of men and women in the audience. Otherwise, it's a little bit like the early days when we only got the Subaru Owners Club, and that's a bit grisly. But we do not actually insist that you sleep with the person you come to the studio with.
No, I mean, often, you know, mums come down with their sons, and we're not suggesting that, you know, that's...
No, we're not.
But everybody's welcome.
Exactly. The truth is, we welcome homosexual couples. Yeah.
We do.
We particularly like the lesbian sort.
Oh, God.
No. I saw a film about lesbians on the internet once.
Oh, God.
It looked very interesting. Now, I don't know if you saw in the papers this week, a woman had a baby while she was on her way to hospital in a Kia, okay? Now, they've called the baby Kia. Yeah, I
Could have
mean,
been worse. It could have been Proton.
because these people called their baby Kia, the people who make the cars, have actually given them a Kia car, yeah? We've got a picture of the handover, I think. There you go, look. Now, this brings us on to a very important Top Gear top tip. If you're on your way to hospital, in labour, and you're in a Kia, for God's sake, get out.
Let the child be christened Skip, bus stop, phone box, anything. Just get out.
I christened this child Doorway of Curries. Because at least that way you'd get a free microwave and not a hideous car like that.
But I reckon this whole story and Baby Kia here, it could spark a whole load of copycats, couldn't it? Because a load of dads waiting until the very last minute on the due date and then secretly hiring a Lamborghini Murcielago and driving really slowly to the hospital. You all right, darling? You can hang on.
Yeah, why are you called Pagani Zonda with the optional ceramic brake package? RAC has launched this. They're calling it Eau de Voiture.
Oh, sounds promising.
What you do is you spray it into your car, and as you it makes it smell like a minicab.
Oh, it's quite strong.
Have some of that. You know,
But it is like a mini.
because it smells. Oh. Lies!
You cretin!
I'm blind. The thing is, it's what it does, and I've really got a lot of it now, is it's one of those smells that makes you think it's covering up other smells. You're like Femme Fresh.
Yeah. Because it's a very strong smell in its own right, but it suggests that there are other things
Because you
masking.
you get notes, don't you? You get notes, undercurrents, suggestions
I can
of...
smell all the fruity stuff, but also a bit of stale weed. A bit of sick.
I can get a really, really beery burp.
Yes. All the other things you'd expect in a minicab, definitely.
Now,
James?
Yes, the car I'm really looking forward to is the new Saab 9.5. Here it is.
Unless, of course, Saab went bust in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, God, which is a real possibility.
Yes.
Tell you what, no, seriously, James, really, do this 2 ways, we'll edit it.
Yeah, okay.
Cover yourself.
A car I'm really looking forward to is the new Saab 9.5. There it is. A car I was looking forward to was the new Saab 9.5. That's what it was going to look
No,
like.
They said.
What?
They said.
Oh, yes, yeah. They say, or said, that it's based on a jet fighter, or was, but it wasn't. It's actually based on a Vauxhall. You can get a 3-engine, or you could get 3 engines, or maybe you can get 3 engines, the best of which was or is a 2.8-litre V6. That will start at about £25,000 and looks great.
Do you know what, James? Why haven't you got a Saab?
Because they've gone bust. But if they haven't, then it is a very good question, because I do actually quite like a Saab. They're just, just a little bit alternative, and they tend to be driven by quite interesting people.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why he hasn't got one then.
Look at this superb shirt. It's got everything you need, really. It has a web address here, it's stitched into the collar, and then on the back, look at that, Mercedes-Benz.
That's class.
Oh, yeah. Really, honestly, it's hard to think of any way that this could be improved.
That says I have a washing machine and everything else I own is already
Well,
in it.
James, you like a flowery shirt, so why wouldn't you like that?
Well, why would you want...
I think I found a way of improving it.
Okay, this is a bad thing. That's a bad thing.
What's...
That's...
It's gone out of hand. It's all right. No, it's gone out. Relax. That's actually quite...
James, you set fire to the Christmas presents!
I have actually set fire to the Land Rover teddy bear. No, that's... You know the smoking rules in Britain? My eyes.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, look. I think
It's still on fire!
It's not. It's like smouldering, that's all. Now, hey, you know we're living in the most stupid country in the world?
You have mentioned that every single week at about this time.
Okay, get this, right? Now, it's the Royal Commission on Environmental Pollution is backing a recent call from the scientific journal Nature, okay, suggesting that we should turn off all the street lights and drive around in darkness.
Well, isn't that a bit dangerous?
Yes. They actually say that if you turn the lights off, it will increase accidents and presumably deaths and casualties by 10%. But they say it's a price worth paying because it'll make life better for nocturnal creatures like bats and badgers and Patrick Moore. They say that too much light creates dark and shady areas where criminals can hide.
Are they saying that light creates more dark and shady places than, for example, darkness?
What are you talking about?
No, honestly, well, I thought it was a good idea to find a picture of the scientist behind this, the professor behind this, so we could put a picture of him on the screen and we could all laugh at his beard. Turns out he doesn't have a beard. But I think he does have a problem with light, because this is the only picture I could find.
Oh, what's happened? He's a vampire. That's why he wants to make it dark so he can prey on us.
He does. What do we need to get him? A wooden stake. We need a wooden stake to drive through his Pringle jumper I think he's wearing. Hey, listen. Do you want an Audi A4, okay, that's much more expensive and harder to park?
Yes, I do.
Good news. Because this week, okay, we've received news that there's a new Audi A8, okay? It's designed by a man called Mick Dick. I've got the bump here, okay?
Was there anything interesting to tell us about it?
No.
Well, what does it look like?
No idea. This is the picture they sent, okay?
It's under a cloth.
Yes.
And who's he?
That's Mick Dick.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah. Best friends, as it turns out, of Billy Willie.
Yeah, they work for Bob Knob, you know.
With Roger Todger.
They were going to get it designed by the Scottish car designer, Jacques Cock. Actually, there was something interesting in here, okay? There was, genuinely, right? Because what Audi has done is they've outlined what the A8 customer is, and they say he's highly affluent, an average income of $500,000 a year. He's 58 years old, highly educated, mostly married.
Mostly married.
What is that? What, so he's sort of married, I don't know, down to there? And this bit is separated?
Yeah, it says he's got a few children still in the household.
What, in the basement?
Yeah, he's a kidnapper, is what they're saying. There's anyone here who is 58 years old on $500,000 a year with divorced shins and some children in the basement? Oh dear, Mick Dick's cocked up. He's built a car for someone who doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Wow.
Yeah, well, no, you say wow. Okay, this is some packaging. You know the sort of packaging? You go to sever your fingers getting in there, okay? But it's worth it because when you get in there, you've got this metal thing. Then you get underneath your car, use what fingers you have left from opening the packaging to attach it to your exhaust pipe, and then it makes a noise which fools other road users into thinking that your car is turbocharged.
Is it like that wastegate noise when you lift off? So it goes, when you...
Do it again. Yes, it does that. Well, you could attach you, it would be easier.
That's not really going to fool anybody bolted onto my Panda, is it? Whatever sort of noise it makes.
Now, the Danes have made an announcement. They're going to start making a supercar. This is it. That has got a V8 that's supercharged and turbocharged, and they say that all of the components, where possible, are going to be made and sourced by companies in Denmark.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it going to be made of bacon?
Will it be lubricated with Lurpak? Because that's Danish.
I'll tell you what it'll be like. You know Bang & Olufsen? Beautiful Danish design. And then inside, as far as I'm aware, it's all Philips electronics. So that's what it'll be like.
Extraordinary. Doesn't stop you buying pretty much everything they make, does it?
No, I am a bit of a sucker for Bang & Olufsen.
Oh, a bit.
No, have you been in the new Audis, right? New Audis have got Bang & Olufsen speakers that rise up out of the dashboard when you turn the stereo on.
Oh, and I should think you're rising up along with...
I am.
I don't know what it is about it. It works like catnip on him. Honestly, if you give him a Bang & Olufsen stereo, his front legs grab it to his chest and his back legs kick it like that. And it rolls. I love it. I love it.
What's
It's like
catnip? What is catnip?
Catnip. Well, if you've got a cat, it's like a sort of herb, and you give it to your cat, and they just go, oh, and they go bonk.
The only thing I ever want to give a cat is its name and address to my dogs.
I like the idea that your dogs are going to hunt down cats just from a name and address.
They are. He said the other day when I said I was going to set my dog on his cat, oh, it won't be able to do it.
What, your gay dog comes around to see my cat? Get his bloody head kicked in.
Anyway, listen, the point is Bang & Olufsen brings me back to that car because I think that looks absolutely fantastic. I don't care if it is made of bacon.
What's it called?
Bang and Lurpak, something like that.
Here's a car I'm looking for. I can't wait for this. 911 Turbo Cabriolet. There you look at it.
What? Oh,
yeah.
Hammond, sorry.
I want that. It's twin turbos, 7-speed double clutch gearbox, flappy paddles. I love that thing. I want
How old are you?
39.
And 361 days.
Technically, yeah.
You know what that means, don't you? The midlife crisis is arriving. Pretty soon you'll be growing your hair, you'll be whitening your teeth.
Have you bought a Harley Davidson recently?
Yes, I have.
Have
Yes.
you really?
Good. All right, it's happening. I agree.
Land Rover are taking a very pragmatic approach to the Christmas gift idea, and they have produced this. It's the Land Rover Distress Whistle, and it will cost you £1.50. Now, I just want to paint the scene for you. You're in the wilderness in your Land Rover, and you drive into an impassable gully. You become stuck. It starts to fill up with water. You're out of food, you're almost out of fuel. You cannot get a signal on your mobile phone, and you're bleeding heavily from a severe abdominal wound. But it's okay.
If I was there with you in that situation and you produced that whistle, I would beat you to death before you tried that instrument. Well, yes.
Now, criminals, would you like to get away with your crimes? Are you capable of running more than 100 yards? Well, good news, because the police are thinking of using these now. It's a Mitsubishi Electric. They say it's helping them crack down on CO2.
I don't want the police to crack down on CO2. I want them to get my bloody television back, because it's been 6 years since that was nicked, and I haven't heard a peep out of them whilst they've been going on about cracking down on CO2. I'm going to have to buy another one at this rate.
What were you stopped for the other day by a policeman? It was some motoring misdemeanor. He just turned around and said, "Oh, good, this must mean you found my television." I tell you what, if I was a policemanist and my chief Freemason came into the office one morning and said, I don't mean I mean chief constable. Who's getting muddled up? And he said, right, you've got to do your B to one of those. I would drink my own pepper spray.
Look at this. It's a fork on one end and a 10mm ring spanner on the other.
And the best thing is, there's another spanner in the middle, look!
No, but this means you can go seamlessly from mending your motorcycle to eating a pie without even pausing.
And we begin with a story from Australia, in fact. Australian authorities are really going to get tough on boozed-up fans at the Bathurst motor race. Well, I say motor race, it's actually a fight every year between rival gangs of Ford supporters and GM supporters. OK, now the way they've cracked this is they say each fan is going to be limited to just 24 cans of lager each per day. Just 24 a day, no more than that.
That's absolutely right, and Australians don't think you can get round this by switching to wine, because that's limited as well, to 4 litres a day.
Do you know what they are actually doing to get round it? They're getting
What, Australians?
Yeah, Australians are going there 2 weeks before the race and burying beer.
We have an Australian guest on later. I'm going to talk to him about this, because I'm fascinated.
Yes.
Next week, we're doing this item on which car company has produced the largest number of great cars.
This is great car.
Yes, great cars. So any thoughts on which car companies made the biggest number of great cars? See, Aston Martin is I don't think Aston has made a single great car, and they make some lovely...
DB5 was only great because of James Bond. It's
Yeah.
A bit rubbish, but it's
Exactly.
great because of
Anyone
James
else got any thoughts?
Who said Ferrari? Somebody said Ferrari.
That's a good call, but...
Ferrari's a good call, but if you
No,
think
but
about it,
it's
they
not.
made a lot of rubbish cars as well. I mean, the 348 was rubbish, the Testarossa was rubbish.
Mondial was rubbish.
They
Mondial
are great.
400.
The F40 was a
That
great
was
car.
great.
But what about mainstream manufacturers, though? Not
Ford.
Just 40, 40. I mean, they did the Model T. That's kind of an important car.
Mustang,
GT40.
GT40. This I think is an interesting debate that petrol heads can have. We genuinely would like to hear what you have to say, so do please go on our website, which is on the internet, and then write something on. I don't know how you write something on it. What you which car firm you think has produced the largest number of great cars? If you write that down on our internet, we'll read it.
I quite like the look of this. This is the Citroën DS3. That's going to be about £12,000. It's sort of the size of a Mini.
So I'll tell you the biggest problem I think with this car, OK, is that when we buy cars, and we all do this, whether we like it or not, is we tend to think most of all about what it'll be worth when we come to sell it, which is perfectly reasonable. The reason why we don't buy orange and lime green cars is because you think, oh, I won't be able to sell it in a couple of years, I'll get the grey one. And I think that's what's going to happen with this, because you'll look and you'll go, well, I really like this, but what if nobody else does and I won't be able to sell it? Or what if it's as out of date as Roger Moore's safari suit when he was James Bond?
But that's a shame, because right now, I think it looks great.
Oh, it looks fantastic. I think that's one of the best looking cars that will be coming out next year.
No, you got it
This year.
This
Race.
I got that right. Oh, God.
I have another gift suggestion here for Christmas. Are you fed up with people bumping into you in a crowd situation?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, well, I have the solution here with these small, ear-mounted human indicators. I kid you not. Oh, this is... right, what happens is, I'm walking along, say, in a shopping centre. Here I am in a shopping centre situation. Oh, you'll be the crowd. OK. Now, there's a danger of jostling happening here, because I'm going to go in that shop on my right.
Yeah.
Well...
Jeez, you can indicate.
So now you know, and you can take evasive action.
And you can go left?
Yeah, if I'm going... I might go... Actually, I fancy the record shop over there. And everybody knows what's happening. Oh, it's a very good gift.
Human indicators. So how much are they? Do we know?
Oh, I don't know. Some money.
And some money.